Hello everybody, and welcome to another episode of College Football Takeover. Today I'm going to be naming the top 10 best coaches in college football based on recency, not based on their entire career. But before we dive into all that, let's get to the trivia question of the day. There's not a multiple choice question. The category is football fun. Name 5 players with 3-letter last names. So name 5 NFL players who the last name only has 3 letters. I'll repeat the question category is football fun. Name 5 players with 3-letter last names. Nice and short ones. So they'll just give you like 5 options. It doesn't necessarily mean, oh, your 5 are wrong. Their 5 are just different. And then today's football birthdays are Steven Jackson, Tim Brown, Keshawn Johnson, and Bake Turner. So happy birthday to those gentlemen. That is your football trivia question and your football birthdays for Wednesday, July 22nd, 2026. Excuse me. So, starting out, let's start out with an honorable mention. This is not, I don't have this guy in my top 10, but just an honorable mention, excuse me. That would be Mike Elko. Mike Elko, he's good. He's done a fantastic job. He just needs to work on ending the season well. First year at Texas, because he took over Texas A&M in a bad spot. They were always hyped up under Jimbo Fisher, and Jimbo Fisher just left him in a dark place. Jimbo Fisher was a terrible coach at Texas A&M, so he kind of took over a rough team, so to speak. But then, first year they start out 7-1, but then they fall off. Finish regular season 8-4, lose the bowl game, finish 8-5. They just fell off. And then this past year, 11-0 start, came back from down 27 at home against South Carolina. But then they lost to Texas, missed out on an SEC championship game, and then lost in round 1. So they ended rough. They lost at home on Kyle Field in the college football playoff. So, relatively speaking, he just needs to work on ending the year better. It wasn't an as bad collapse this last year, but they still got Marcel Reed. They lost their offensive coordinator, I think his name's Colin Klein, to the Kansas State head coaching job, but they're expecting another college football playoff caliber season. He's an honorable mention, but now to get into the actual top 10, number 10, we've got James Franklin. The reason James Franklin is not super high would be because, it was a dumpster fire at Penn State last season. They went 3-3. They lost against UCLA and Northwestern back-to-back games. He got canned, all that stuff. But he got a job at Virginia Tech. So, a lot of excitement to see, hey, what is James Franklin going to do at Virginia Tech? He takes that new job. But, yes, his last season at Penn State was tough, but before then, people always said he couldn't get top 10 victories, which was true, but he still made the 12-team college football playoff, took them to the semifinals, where they barely lost to Notre Dame on a walk-off field goal. So, he was a great coach at Penn State. He was super successful. He would be higher up if it wasn't for last season, but he was super good at Penn State. He did a fantastic job there. Always had Penn State in the Big Ten conversation. He took them to the Big Ten championship the year that they made the 12-team playoff. You can never get those top 10 victories, but he was still a fantastic coach and did a fantastic job at Penn State, because Penn State's not always a dominant program, and he made them consistently in the conversation to make the college football playoff each and every year. He's the one that instilled that. And he completely turned around the Penn State program. And now, even though he's fired, there's still hope, because it was a prestigious job. And Matt Campbell went there, so he left Penn State in good hands also. Now to number 9, Kalen DeBoer. Kalen DeBoer is an interesting one. A big thing that helps him is not just his time at Alabama. It's his Washington time. In 2 years at Washington, he got him to 11-2 Alamo Bowl champions and 14-1 Sugar Bowl champions, Pac-12 champions, national champion runner-ups. So, his 2 years at Washington is what makes him the great coach. His Alabama time it's been interesting, okay? The 9-4 season, if you're not winning 10 games and you're not making the 12-team college football playoff at Alabama, you've got yourself a bit of a problem. A bit of a problem, but he's a solid coach, okay? Kalen DeBoer's a good coach. And then this last year, they went, 11-3. They went 10-2 in the regular season. They went 11-4 because they went 10-2. Then he's beaten Georgia twice in the regular season, which is impressive. But then they lost to Georgia in the SEC championship game. They beat Oklahoma, came back on the road in Norman. That's hard to do. But then they just got smoked against Indiana. He's been a disappointing Alabama coach, but it was almost impossible for him not to be disappointing because the odds of him living up to Nick Saban and what Nick Saban did were slim to none. So he kind of gets the benefit of the doubt of it was pretty much impossible for him to live up to his hype and live up to what Nick Saban did. But first year didn't even make the playoffs. It's like they lost to Florida State. But he's beaten Kirby Smart and Georgia twice, which is really hard to do. They went on the road and made a comeback down 17-3 and beat Oklahoma in the college football playoff. So give him credit where credit's due. He hasn't really filled in the shoes necessarily, but he's done a good job. Number 8, I've got Mario Cristobal at number 8. Mario Cristobal is a good coach, a great coach. Some people would argue he has to be higher. He just took Miami to the national championship. He was successful at Oregon and stuff also. And then the year before that, he was good at Miami. But they choked and didn't make the college football playoff. They were 9-0 and choked away a college football playoff spot. His first 2 years at Miami were not very successful. 5-7 and 7-6. So, and a big thing against Mario Cristobal is the fact that a big thing against Mario Cristobal is that he always chokes. You can almost guarantee a Mario Cristobal coach team is gonna get upset in either late October or November. You can almost guarantee it. He always gets upset. This past year, they lost to Louisville and SMU. Everyone was like, oh, okay, no college football playoff for them. But they somehow still made it and made a national championship run. But it was a Cinderella run at the end of the day. They were only the 10 seed. It was controversial that they even made it. A little something to think about is that it was controversial that they even made it. And then year before that, upset against Georgia Tech, then against Syracuse, missed out on the playoffs. Like, Cristobal's always getting upset and costing his team college football playoff berths. It's like, okay, legit, top 10, top 5 caliber team until the upsets happen. And then they fall off, then they're dead. They still made the playoffs this last time. They made a national championship run, but it looked like they weren't going to. I'm split on who should be number 7 and who should be number 6. Lane Kiffin or Marcus Freeman. I don't know. I mean, Marcus Freeman has the national championship spot, so he'll be one higher. Lane Kiffin, 7. Lane Kiffin, there are many problems with him. He's always going to stir up controversy. You never know if he's going to ditch your team in the middle of the night. He ditched Tennessee. He ditched Ole Miss. You don't know about that stuff. But he's a great coach. I'm really excited for his first year at LSU. I can see 12-0 being a possibility. A tiny possibility, but I can see it being a possibility. Lane's a great coach. And Ole Miss has never been a prestigious SEC school, but he made it a more prestigious SEC school. Took Ole Miss to the college football playoff last season because, yes, he didn't coach a game in it, but he was the one who took them there to that 11-1 season. But he never went to an SEC championship game. He did go to a New Year's Six Bowl, win in the Peach Bowl in like 2024 or 2023, I think. But they also, the year of Jackson Darr last year, it seemed like everything was there for them to make a 12-team playoff, and they pooped the bed. Lost to Florida, lost to Kentucky. There were problems. And this past year, Ole Miss came out of nowhere and made the playoffs. They weren't expected to, but the year prior, they pooped the bed and didn't make it. And then, he never went to an SEC championship game. He never coached a college football playoff game because he ditched for LSU. So, Lane Kiffin's always going to stir something up. Lane Kiffin is always going to cause controversy. And at the end of the day, he never made the 4-team playoff. He made the 12-team playoff, but then bailed. He never went to an SEC title game. He pooped the bed in 2024. So, Kiffin at 7. He's fantastic. He made Ole Miss a relevant program, but there's also some things he wasn't able to accomplish. Number 6, Marcus Freeman. 4 years at Notre Dame has been solid. A big thing I'm kind of concerned with is, in his time at Notre Dame, he's lost against Stanford, Marshall, and Northern Illinois. And he's almost lost against California. That's a concern. His first year, Notre Dame was only 8-4. The next year, they were 9-3. But they won the bowl game both those years. And then their national championship run, when they went to the national championship, it was good. And it's always impressive to win 3 college football playoff games and go to the first 12-team playoff national championship. That's impressive. But also, they beat an Indiana team that wasn't very good in Cignetti's first year. They were kind of a fluke, a pretender. And they beat a Georgia team with a backup quarterback and beat a Penn State team that can't beat top 10 teams. But not to take too much credit away, Marcus Freeman has been good. And Notre Dame missed out on the playoffs this past year, but it was controversial. They ended great, won their last 10 games. Marcus Freeman was great. Marcus Freeman was a fantastic coach for Notre Dame. He was great. And he has been great. And now he's bringing in a loaded roster this next season. There's a ton of hype. I'm seeing Marcus Freeman being this. He's great. If you've gone to a national championship, you're a fantastic coach. Marcus Freeman has done an absolutely fantastic job. His first 2 years were a bit rough. His first year, but they had their backup quarterback. The next year, they just had that tough 4-game stretch of Ohio State, Duke, Louisville, and USC. That was a tough 4-game stretch. That hurt them quite a bit. But then he brought Notre Dame to the national championship, and that's impressive. So he's number 6. Getting into the top 5, number 5, we've got Steve Sarkisian. Texas used to be a prestigious program, then kind of wasn't. He comes in, taking them to the college football playoff twice. First time it was a 4-team playoff. Next time it was a 12-team playoff, but they got to the semifinals. This past year they missed out, but it was kind of controversial. They were still great. They went 10-3 counting bowl game. Texas was good. Texas was a good program. And now Sarkisian brings in a great group. Arch Manning's more experienced now, and people are talking national championship. He has won a Big 12 championship. He's been to the SEC championship. They didn't win it, but he's been there. So he's reached the college football playoff as a Big 12 team, and he reached the college football playoff semifinal as an SEC team. He was a coach when Texas went through that conference change, and they didn't miss a beat. That's something impressive to do. Sarkisian's been great. I think Sarkisian's a top 5 coach in the country. They have got a legit team this year. He might go up by next year if they win a national championship, which is certainly a possibility. Because Texas is great, and Sarkisian, he's only been there 6 years and 7 years. He's done an incredible job. He's been incredible, and conference change is tough. They didn't miss a beat. And he's brought back Texas, kind of like Amari Cristobal has brought back Miami. Number 4, Dan Lanning. I love how Dan Lanning instills just excitement and belief. He has so much energy. He brings energy to your team. He's going to bring energy into the locker room. And first year was a bit rough. They kind of choked and lost to Washington, Oregon State, but they still went 10-3, won the Holiday Bowl. The next year, Washington was just the bane of their existence, but they still went 12-2 and won the Liberty Bowl. The next year, Dan Lanning, he was the coach during the big conference change from Pac-12 to Big Ten. So, like Sarkisian, he's had to go through a conference change. And just like Texas, they haven't skipped a beat. First year in the Big Ten, 13-0 Big Ten champions. Both times they've gotten smoked in the playoffs. That is something to consider. They got smoked against Ohio State, then this past year got smoked against Indiana. But this year, they got 2 college football playoff wins, beat James Madison, and shut out Texas Tech and won like 23-0. He's done a fantastic job. He's been great. And they got smoked in Indiana, but that Indiana team was unstoppable. That was their only 2 losses last year. He just instills energy and belief and excitement into the locker room. He is a fantastic coach. And, losing Mario Cristobal to Miami, it was like, oh, shoot, he was a pretty good coach. And Dan Lanning he just took over and has been great. He's a fantastic coach. Oregon has a fantastic team again this year. This might be his year to finally get that national championship win. Number 3, we've got Dan Lanning. Ryan Day. I just talked about Dan Lanning at number 4. Number 3, we've got Ryan Day. Ryan Day has been unstoppable. His win percentage is insane. He never gets upset. He's only lost once against an unranked team, and it was against Michigan in 2024. And he does have a Michigan problem, 2-4, but they won against Michigan this past year. He does have kind of a Big Ten championship problem. They haven't won a Big Ten title in forever, but they at least went last year. And they won the national championship in 2024, in the 2024 season, and that was one of the best runs of all time. Like, no one's believing in you. People are calling Ryan Day, calling for his job. And he led the team, blowing out Tennessee, blowing out Oregon, blowing out, then beating Texas on that fantastic scoop and score, beating Notre Dame. I get it. People are going to be like, it wasn't that great national championship season. They lost to their rival Michigan. They didn't win a Big Ten championship. But that national championship run in the playoffs, it was something of everyone comes together. Everyone is coming together and doing their thing. It was super impressive how Ryan Day led that group. There was talk all around him, and he didn't get scared. He went in there and he was great. And then they finally beat Michigan. His win percentage is insane. He's 70-something wins, 12 losses or something. He's been fantastic. That national championship helps. Finally fixed their consecutive losses against Michigan. That win percentage is insane. And Ohio State is another great group this year. He's constantly recruiting fantastic talent. I love Ryan Day. He's a fantastic coach. He's at number 3. Now, number 2, we've got Kirby Smart. Kirby Smart is dominant. He's won a bunch of SEC championships. He's won the last 5, I think, right? Well, no, he's won 4. They've won 3 of the last 5. They've gone to 5 straight SEC championship games. He's been fantastic. There was the back-to-back national championship seasons, the 2021 season and 2022 season. The 2 biggest blowouts in bowl game history are Kirby Smart and Georgia, the 65-7 national championship win versus TCU. And then the very next year, 63-3 win in the Orange Bowl against Florida State. But ever since that second national championship game, when they have not won a college football playoff game, because they missed out the next year, then the 12-team playoff game, they won the SEC championship game, but Carson Beck got hurt and Notre Dame beat them in round 2, and then this past year, Ole Miss, with an interim head, or with Pete Golding and not Lane Kiffin, came in and upset them. So that's concerning that although they've been great and won the SEC the past 2 years, the most stacked conference, arguably, they haven't won a college football playoff game. It's been 3 consecutive seasons since they've won a college football playoff game. That's not okay, and Kirby Smart's kind of mad about that. I think he said something about being upset about it shutting down for 25 to 30 days because they getting the round 1 bye makes you not play for such a long time, but he's a fantastic coach. Kirby Smart, the win percentage is insane. He seems to be like the next Nick Saban. It is concerning to not have won a college football playoff game in 3 consecutive seasons, being a one and done these past 2 years, but he's doing a great job. And, Georgia's always a powerhouse. They're always a national powerhouse, always in the top 5 of national championship conversation, and yet again, it's the same this year. But number one, can't be anyone other than Curt Cignetti. Curt Cignetti has done a fantastic job. Not only did they go 16-0, were national champions, won the Rose Bowl, Peach Bowl, beat their rival Purdue, won the Big Ten championship in the game of the century against Ohio State, and won the national championship. But they did that all, he did that all at Indiana, who was historically like one of, if not the worst program in all of college football. And he came in and he stopped, and he was all cocky saying, Google me, I don't take a backseat to anyone. If Indiana would have still been trash, he would have gotten made fun of. But he backed up his word. He's 27-2. First year was kind of a fluke, right? I mean, couldn't beat the good teams. But Curt Cignetti's never lost a home game or a neutral site game. He lost at Ohio State and at Notre Dame in the 2024 playoffs. I mean, Cignetti's done an incredible job. They weren't even preseason in the top 20 last year, despite making the playoffs because everyone was calling them a fluke. A pretender. And Cignetti took that personally, and Indiana had one of the best seasons in college football history. First ever 16-0 season. Cignetti's obviously number one. He didn't just come off of a 16-0 national championship season. He turned around potentially the worst program in college football. That will never happen again. What Curt Cignetti did will never happen again. It was so incredible. You can't really make a case unless you have like a minimum of like 5 years for a coach to put him in number one. Cignetti's obviously number one. Fantastic coach, without a doubt. He turned around Indiana. He made Indiana 16-0 national champions in just two years. He's the next Saban. He is insane. Except for Saban was taking over a national powerhouse. They hadn't been a powerhouse in a while, but they had been great under Bear Bryant. And Cignetti completely turned around the worst program in college football and made them 16-0. Unheard of. But before we wrap up this episode, let's get to the trivia question of the day. The category is football fun. Name 5 players with 3-letter last names. Some possible answers are Jack Ham, Charles Way, Tress Way, Ray Guy, Emmett Raw, Homer Rudd, Ty Law, and PK Sam. Well, that's actually 8 names, so I'm guessing those are the only 8. And if you said 5 of any of those guys, you would be correct, I guess. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of College Football Takeover. Tell me in the comments, do you agree with my top 10? I had Mike Elko as an honorable mention, James Franklin at 10, Kalen DeBoer at 9, Mario Cristobal at 8, Lane Kiffin at 7, Marcus Freeman at 6, Steve Sarkisian at 5, Dan Lanning at 4, Ryan Day at 3, Kirby Smart at 2, and Curt Cignetti at 1. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of College Football Takeover. If you like this content, I would really appreciate it if you would like to subscribe, and I'll see you next time on College Football Takeover. Bye now.